Yo, welcome. I'm Wild Matt with megascorcher.com, and today we will be reviewing Retro City Rampage. But before we get to that, I'd just like to say that I've been looking forward to this game for a very, very long time. This game started out as an indie project, and it still is, but at a grander scale now. But this guy, Brian, who made the game by himself almost entirely up to the last moments there, he made his own NES dev kit. And then he tried to recreate some of GTA 3 on that console. At the time, it was called Grand Theft Tendo. It was announced in 2002, and this is the game that we are seeing right now. It was originally supposed to be out in 2005, but he announced that it would become its own game entitled Retro City Rampage, and that's what I'm reviewing right now. So the great stuff about this game is all the parodying that it does. Is that a word? Parodying? All the mentions of stuff in this is so sweet. There's so many of them. I could go name just a few right now. There's a whole Saved by the Bell storyline going on in here. If you're Canadian, there's some stuff that you will understand that a lot of the world probably won't. There's the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is in there. One of my favorite missions involves a Shredder. There's a Punch-Out gag in there that's really funny. And there's Back to the Future. There's so much stuff. If you blink, you might miss some of the parodies that are in this game. And I'm just going to name one. I don't want to spoil anything in the game for you guys, but my favorite one was probably the Punch-Out gag, where the #1 bike dealer in town might be a robber. He might have robbed all those bikes. And it says, well, he hasn't been convicted. And then you get there, and it turns out that it's the black guy that Little Mac has his trainer, the guy who pats you on the shoulder every time you fight. I don't remember what his name is, but black guy from Punch-Out. That's what his name is. Who cares what his name is? He's just the trainer. Little Mac. It's all about the Little Mac. But anyways, there's so much stuff about that just makes you laugh and think back on the 80s and even 90s. Even some stuff from right now, like there's an arcade in the game where you can go at and play a Meat Boy game, a Bit Trip game, and an Epic Mealtime game. Meat Boy is basically just a race, I guess, and you're trying to avoid razor blades and all that stuff. A Bit Trip is just a automatic runner. We've been seeing a lot of those lately. You just automatically run and you push A to jump, and I think it's X to hit stuff. I should mention that I played it on the PS3, so I have no idea why I mentioned that, but hey. And the Epic Mealtime is just the Mortal Kombat Test Your Might, except instead of hitting a piece of wood, you are eating food. Not only that, but even in the gameplay, there are a number of different varying types of stuff going on. Like there's a root beer tapper game in there. There's one point where you're delivering newspapers and it's basically Paperboy. There's a guy on the ground trying to put on pants or dancing, whatever he's doing, and it's a lot. It's crazy how much it is like Paperboy. There's a Rad Racer section of the game, which is that Nintendo racing game released by Square. And also there's a straight up Explosion Man ripoff. There's a guy that runs a video game company in the game, and he is a sweaty mofo apparently, and he explodes because he's so sweaty. And it's pretty much Explosion Man. It's kind of crazy. The graphics might not be the best. I mean, you know what you're expecting when you get into this, but there's so much variety to the graphics. It's nuts. You can have different like TVs surrounding the screen, like an old school like dial TV, or you can make it look like a Game Boy game. You can make it look like a Sega Genesis game, or you can just, have it widescreen, 720p HD, nothing going on. There's scan lines too. So just the graphical variety in this game is amazing. I bought it on the PSN, so when you buy that version of the game, which is also on Steam right now, 360 and Wii later, but when you buy the PSN version of it, you get not only the PS3 version, but also the Vita version, regardless of what system you buy it on. And the cloud saving on this is amazing. You can just go to the menu, click cloud saving, and then you go load or save. And that is very useful, especially if you have a Vita and PS3. You can just go save to the cloud, load from the cloud on your Vita, go on the road, play it a little bit, come back home, save it back to the cloud, play on your PS3. It's awesome, and it's so simple. It is really fast how it happens. And not only is this like a classic GTA style overhead type game here, but it also incorporates a lot of modern twists in there. Like you can strafe shoot in this by just holding square. You focus on one enemy and then he shoots at that one and you can circle around him. There's also dual analog shooting, a lot like Smash TV or Geometry Wars or what have you. And they also incorporated a cover mechanic in here, which you just push triangle, he goes into cover, and then you push a direction and he just ducks out, and then you push X and he jumps out of it. It's pretty simple. However, it's not all great. Some of the bad does shine through occasionally. Like the storyline, as funny as it is and as referential as it is, it's not always great. And in some instances, it might not even be there. Like, who cares? It doesn't really matter. And the ending is really, really disappointing. When you do beat it, though, you do get a new mode called Retro City Rampage Turbo, and it just makes the game faster, which it could be useful sometimes, but I find that it makes the missions just harder, especially when you have 1,000 enemies on your butt. So if you do finish the game and you're like, whoa, why is this turbo? Just go back to the main menu and you can turn that off. The game can get repetitive. I never really got bored with it. So, I mean, you know what you're expecting when you're getting into this, so that's all I'm going to say. The missions, they vary too wide in terms of difficulty. Sometimes you'll get a mission which is just drive from this point to this point to this point, and then you're done. And other missions, you'll just be dying over and over and over until you just figure it out. There's a couple of instances like that where you have bombs and you have to blow up 10 cars, but the cops are just on your ass. They're just on your ass, and you kind of had to just cheese it. It's not cheating, but you just have to cheese it. And the last mission's also kind of hard. So it's just weird. It's just weird how the difficulty just seems to be sporadic and totally inconsistent like that. And the AI isn't terribly smart. I mean, you can't really blame it. It's like an 8-bit style game. But in some cases, the cops are really dumb and they don't really do much. But except for that, I mean, I can't really complain about anything else. Shooting people is cool. The sound effects are really cool. The music, there's some music in there that you listen to it and you're just like, oh, well, sure, that's not a Mega Man song, or sure, that's not a Castlevania song, but it sounds exactly like it. There's even what's that game called now? River City Ransom, which sounds a lot like this title's name, but it's straight up, you will recognize it if it is a song or a game that you played before. So there you go. I'm giving this game a 4 out of 5. The game's not perfect, but it does have its flaws. It is amazing. If you can dig all those references in there, there's no reason for you not to pick this one up. It's only $15, especially if you have a Vita. This is a game you gotta get. There's a definite lack in Vita games, and this one will give you a good game to play for a while. And it's only like 24 megabytes, so you can keep it on your Vita forever. It's not like you'll have to delete it because it's so big and you'll have to put another game on there. No, you can keep it on there forever. It's awesome. Like I said, 4 out of 5. It's not perfect, but goddamn is it fun. Thanks for watching. I've been Wild Matt. See ya for the next review.